All right, so we're going to use our slope formula to find the slope between the 2 points. So remember, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The way I like to remember it is rise over run. Usually you guys remember that. Rise remembers up and down, which is your y-axis. Run is right and left. That's your x-axis. The only mistake kids will make is they'll flip it. They'll put the x's up top instead of down on the bottom. Remember, y is up top, x is on the bottom when you're looking for slope. Okay? So y2 is 7 minus y1, 4. x2 is 1 minus x1, 3. That's a 3 over negative 2. You can leave it like that, or you can just put negative 3 halves if you want a negative out front. Okay? One of them has to be negative. The 3, the 2, or out front. Okay? Number 2, same type of problem. Our 2 points, negative 3, 4, and negative 4, 2, or negative 2. So, pay attention to the details tomorrow. A lot of times the mistake is you forget a negative sign. Okay? So don't forget your negatives. So y2, negative 2, minus y1, 4. x2, negative 4, minus x1, negative 3. What happens when you get minus a negative? Turns into addition, right? So that's negative 4 plus 3. So negative 6 over negative 1. So that's positive 6. Okay? So just 2 slope problems to start. Number 3, writing 3 through 6, I want equations in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b form, y by itself. Okay? So all 4 of those answers should be an equation. Some of you didn't quite finish a couple of those on your practice quiz. Okay? So this one is really easy because it gives us the slope. What is it? 1. And you don't have to put the 1 in front, but if you do, it's okay. And what's B represent for us? Y-intercept. Well, I gave you the y-intercept for this one. So all I got to do is put what number? 3. Right? Now, some people put in 0 for x and 3 in for y and solve for b, and you'll still get 3. But you don't really have to do it on this one because I give it to you. I give you the slope, the m. I give you the b, the y-intercept. Okay? So just write it out. Now, for number 4, I gave you the slope, which was negative 4. And then the point was negative 3, 2. That's not the y-intercept, right? If the x was 0, like number 3, then it would also be the y-intercept again. But it's not a 0. So I put the 2 in for y. I put the negative 3 in for x. And figure out the b. So I can write the full equation. All right. So now that I know b is negative 10, my equation is y equals my slope, still negative 4. That didn't change. And then b is negative 10 now. So there's our equation for that line. If I were to graph that, negative 3, 2 would be one of the points that my line would go through. Right? Okay. Questions? Okay, number 5. I gave you 2 points for number 5. So you have to find the slope first, like you did for 1 and 2. And then do what we just did for number 4. Pick one of the points. It doesn't matter which point you pick of those 2 to figure out the b. All right, so find out my m. Y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. I got that minus a negative again, so that turns into addition. I get negative 2 over negative 3. What's two negatives turn that into? Positive. So that's where some of you made a mistake yesterday. When you put it in for b, you left it as negative 2/3 instead of positive 2/3. Okay? So we're going to go y equals 2/3 x plus b. And I'm going to pick the first point, but it really doesn't matter. You can pick 2, negative 8 also. The first point, y, is negative 6, and the x was 5. 5 times 2/3 is just doing 5 times 2, 10 over 3. Okay? You don't multiply 5 by both, just by the 2, the numerator. Okay? Then I take the 10/3 over, so I subtract it. All right, I like to do fractions with do normal fractions. Some of you just put it in your calculator and get a decimal answer. That's fine. Okay, nothing wrong with the decimal answer. But what I would do, since that's thirds and that's over 1, I want to put it over 3. So I multiply 1 by 3 to get the 3. So I got to multiply negative 6 by 3 and get negative 18. So negative 18 and a negative 10 is a negative 28/3 for my b. Right? Some of you might have had negative 9.3 repeating. That's okay. That's what that is. All right? So I put that in. Again, I'm not done. Let's write the equation. So my slope is 2/3. And my y-intercept is negative 28/3. Some people might have had this. 0.6 repeating minus 9.3 repeating. That's okay. Either one's fine. They're both the same. One's decimal form, one's fraction form. I like fractions. Questions? So this one you had to find the slope first. I didn't give it to you. All right? And 6 is like our warm-up. So I gave you a point. I gave you an equation, and I said this one was perpendicular. Okay? So all I want from that equation I gave you is the slope, which is negative 2/3. Okay? I want a slope that's perpendicular to that. So I want a positive 3/2. Right? Opposite reciprocal. So flip it, and if it's negative like this, turn it into positive. If it was positive 2/3, our opposite reciprocal would be negative 3/2. Okay? Now I do the same thing we've been doing. Substitute in for y and x, solve for b. Three times 4 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. Subtract it over to get b alone. So I get negative 12 for b. So my equation then is y equals 3/2 x minus 12. So make sure you write the equation at the end. Okay. Questions on 3, 4, 5, or 6? They're all pretty similar. Just a little bit different information given each time. But you still end up y equals mx plus b. All right. Number 7. It says f of x is 1 minus 4x. It also says f of x equals 3. Okay, find the value of x to make it 3. All right, so again, the mistake some kids make because they get in a hurry, they're thinking f of 3. F of 3 means put 3 in for x. It didn't say f of 3, it said f of x equals 3. So all you do is say 1 minus 4x equals 3, because both of those are f of x. So they're just set them equal. And then just solve. You're going to subtract 1 and divide by negative 4, which is negative 1/2, or 0.5 if you want to use a decimal. Some of you, when you put that in your calculator, do negative 4 divided by 2 and get negative 2. Remember, the top number goes in first, right? The calculator. 2 divided by negative 4 is negative 1/2. It's okay to get fractions or decimals. It doesn't have to be a whole number. Okay. And then the last one, it says solve f1 of x equals f2 of x. And it tells us what f1 and f2 are. So just set them equal. f1 is 4x plus 5. f2 is x plus 6. So what value of x makes them equal? So we just set them equal. Taking the x over, it's a positive x, so when I move it over, I subtract it. Do the opposite, which is 3x. Now get x by itself, so take the 5 over first. Opposite is subtracting it. And then dividing 3 times x. So divide both sides by 3. Get another fraction. Or you could do the decimal if you want. Not that difficult, is it? Simple. You can do it. No problem, right? Any questions? All right, that's all I got then, if you don't have any questions. Thanks for your attention.